I got sent this by a friend of mine in WhatsApp, and I've been wanting to cover this story about how supposedly men supposedly sexualize women. You know, this force that men are forcing women to dress in 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 this way. Men are the cause and the reason why, in this day and age, that women are wearing what they're wearing, the wear that they're wearing, because of men. And this is the sexualization of women. When the boards that were taken, the advert that was taken down in London's tube station of the woman wearing a bathing suit, yellow bathing suit, and it was seen as sexist, and the exploitation of women. And I just think it's extraordinary that today women are able to wear this kind of clothing, this in the middle of the street. I mean, and walk about. I mean, this is. I never thought I'd see this kind of thing, but you're seeing it today. This is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think this is. Look, every red-blooded male is looking at this, and but that's the point. Women are walking about the streets of Britain, America, even Africa, and other, parts of the world. This is the fashion, this kind of thing, and you see it. I mean, when I was driving back from a job today, um, I can't remember. I was coming from the west side of London or something like that, and Marylebone, Houston Station. God, there's tons of women wearing this kind of thing. I remember when this came out before. I mean, this woman is all bar naked, and I think they started wearing. Was it 2010 or maybe 2011 that women was starting? It might have been earlier, 2009. But it became. I mean, these kind of things have been worn by male. Is it not ballerinas? You know, the guys who in ballet. The men have worn this type of thing for years and years, from the 50s, 60s, and now but it was worn on stage, and that's where you never. It wasn't out on the streets, but that's now come out onto the street, and women are walking around, and this is a little bit of a joke. No way. Surely the tread depth on that motorcycle tire can't be legal. So there's this pretend that you're concerned about the depth of tread, which is quite really bad on there, and not really paying attention to what's right in front of him. This is more important. But it really sort of pans into that we are not supposed to, under any circumstances, see this as, from my point of view, acceptable. This is not acceptable to be walking around the streets where your butt is hanging literally out. this is just unbelievable. And yet, and the thing I've noticed that I mean, more and more women wear clothing that is sexually revealing like this, and expected to be acceptable, and expected to be taken seriously. One of the things I've noticed when you watch like the BBC, and then when you watch Sky, on Sky the women are very. I think most of the time you see them wearing the shirts are buttoned up to the neck. They do wear short sleeve, which is fine. There's not a problem with that. Or they'll wear a jacket. If you look on, I think it's NHK Japan, all the female presenters, except I think there's an American, well, one that's obviously got an American accent, who will present the weather. She will be dressed in close. I've seen her a couple of times where she's dressed in a close-fitting um, garment, but not so hugely close-fitting where it's tight, but it's getting there, because there's obviously a standard. But the dress goes up to her neck and then down to around her knees type of thing. But it's not it's not the full stretchy type that you'll see some women wear. But on the BBC or News 24, you'll see them wearing rubbish, nonsense, all sorts of things. On NHK Japan, virtually all the women are wearing a jacket, a blazer. Now it will be either in cream, white, maybe blue, because and then they'll wear a blouse, and which will be near to the sort of down to the neckline or below, or they'll wear a shirt, which with a button that you can see, and it's buttoned up or opened up, but never to the same extent. You just can't see the outline of the front easily. It's basically like the men. Obviously, women like colour, and they do. You'll see them sometimes wear a pink or a bright blue, or light pink, or a white jacket or a black jacket, or there is a certain variety they'll allow, because obviously women do like more brighter colours or floral colours, and it's acceptable for that. I mean, one of the famous jackets is the Chanel jacket that more of the upper middle class women wear, as like the Jackie Kennedy used to wear, which is the kind of thing that you expect women to be wearing. But instead, we see this kind of butt nakedness on the streets, but then what you get is that the feminist evil bitches will blame us men, for this. We've sexualized women to such a degree that this is what they're wearing. I mean, I wasn't in this woman's bedroom when she got up in the morning to put this on and say, "Oi, this is what you need to wear." Yes, maybe her boyfriend, but did her boyfriend say you need to wear this? I don't think so. I think this is a personal choice. You see, I've been on the tube, and I don't go on the tube that much nowadays. But a couple of times I've been on, you will see this kind of thing. You'll see groups of women standing, and it will be very, very tight-fitting clothing. European women, especially in Britain and America, wear very, very tight clothing. And then they have the audacity to say, that it's men that are the cause of it, that men are sexualizing women. The two industries where women outstrip men periodically is the fashion industry and the porn industry. There was a small complaint made at the fact that, male models make considerably less than the female. And in the porn industry, it's just a done thing that the girl, even though the guy is the one who's doing most of the hard work, if it's a male and female, she gets the more money. She gets the more money. So as I'm, going about my business every day, and I see more and more of this nonsense of women are oppressed, especially white women are oppressed. Yet when you see them walking around with their, pink, blue, yellow hair, and their noses cocked into the air with such immense arrogance, and they're wearing hugely tight-fitting clothing, like what you see here. You see them when they're in bars, the way that they behave, and the way they're sitting, with, again, arrogance. They're, female peacocks, showing off their assets to everybody, all and sundry. Both male, showing it off to both male and female. Yet they will again say that men are the cause of their sexual, they're being sexualized. You see this on debates in the newspaper consistently. There was the case, I think it was Pete Waterhouse. Was it Pete Waterhouse? Used an agency to hire staff. Uses an agency to hire staff. So this agency is, checks on people's CVs, knows exactly the kind of people that, Pete Waterhouse are looking for to work in their firm. And they got into a bit of trouble because of a woman who was on the books of this company and who clearly knows what the rules are, that women wear high heels in the workplace. Now, she made a complaint that she could not wear high heels every day or all day because it just affects her feet. And she didn't want to wear them. Even the female staff, the women there, who she was complaining to, laughed and said, "This is the standard. This is what we wear every day. You're expected to wear that." So she decided, this silly little bitch, do a campaign on Facebook, how she was being forced to wear shoes that she felt was uncomfortable. How women did not have a choice of the shoes that they expect that they could wear. How that sexualized the high heel was, and that women are expected to wear them because it's seen as a something to do with it being sexy or sexual, and so women want women like her want to have the choice to be able to wear flat shoes, completely flat shoes, and not or any shoe that they decide to wear. Obviously, maybe Wellington boots. I don't know. Now, PW didn't. They were just using a company to hire. They get drawn into this. They have to make an apology. They have to say, "Oh, we'll have to look at the company and see what their policy is." This is nonsense that the company doesn't need. On one hand, I suppose in some ways it's good for them. They get free publicity from the whole debacle of it, of the company. Funny enough, people, companies will look at PCW, who didn't think of them before, even through a situation um, like this, because it actually it probably did them good in one sense. They probably got a lot of business because people looked and oh, PCW, when they were thinking about something to do with this particular company, free advertising. But still, it seems to me that feminists can just come out and accuse somebody or a company of being sexist, basically, or being sexist for not allowing women to choose whether they wear high heels or not. Yet you are working in an agency that, whether or not they give you work, you see, what probably happens now is that particular woman, if she doesn't at least, or use the fame that she gained for that period of time, agencies will not take her on, and quite rightly so. Some of these agencies are owned by women. When I worked for my last company, numerous 2 or 3 companies I went to were owned. Employment agencies were owned by women. I remember coming to the building, I saw this Rolls Royce, and one of the guys at the front said, "Oh, lovely Rolls Royce at the front." He says, "Yeah, it's owned by female CEO of the business." Really? Wow. Where's the oppression there? Strange. You see, now today, God thank us for Donald Trump, has made the statement that there is a war against men and boys. I haven't read the statement. I'm going to be looking to read that. But I saw that headline that he said, and I thought, thank God we have got someone on our side now. He sees what's going on. He knows that there is a war out there. He knew there was a war going out there, but he's now saying it. I can't remember, it was in 2002, 2003, I think it was. There was Big Brother America, Big Brother USA. And I have to be honest with you, I think it was probably one of the greatest Big Brothers I've ever seen, even today. And I don't watch pretty much these days. But it was unbelievable. And it was indicative of what's happening today. 2 women. It was a South Korean woman and a white woman who apparently couldn't stand each other's guts. They hated each other. But somehow they were, I think both of them to a degree, were at odds with the rest of the house. And somehow they became very odd allies. They started to work together. Because at the end of the day, it's about winning and getting to the end of the show. There was $500,000 up for grabs. $500,000 up for grabs. And on that show, there was a white guy who had a daughter and all this kind of nonsense. And he said something. He says, America does right by its daughters. And it was a strange statement when he made me think that he was correct. The emphasis that is so much in America of women, but daughters especially, were the opposite to what the Chinese valued boys. And that pissed off the proverbial feminist lesbian bitch. She was pissed at the fact that the baby that would be valued more was the son and not the daughter. The son, not the daughter. Male is valued, which has happened all through in Indian society. Again, the male has always been valued as the most valuable. In Africa, there was that, and it still is to a degree in parts of Africa. The son is valued. So I'm looking at the society that we are in the West. That you saw the nonsense that is the Pussy March in America, and you saw banners. The future is female, or if women do well, America does well. Really? I don't think America is doing. Oh, America's doing well now. Sorry, because of Donald Trump. I am no longer a fan of Obama. I don't want to see another black person in power unless they are willing to do the things like Trump and do things correctly and do things well. You see, the reason why we've got to a stage why the SJWs have come about is because of Obama. They weren't there before when Bush is there. They came about because of Obama. And then you've got all the nonsense of kill men, all men, feminists were standing up in Canada. This is a feminist university standing up with boldness. Kill all white men. Goldsmith College in the UK. This consistent attack on men is going on still today. This nonsense about rape culture exists in the campuses of universities, and is transported from America to the UK, to Australia, to Canada. And Christine Hoff Sommers has even stated it's not even 1 in 50. I think it's something like 1 in 160, maybe even higher, 1 in 1,000 in the outside world. In college campuses, I don't think it's anywhere near that. Yet this myth that 4 out of 5 girls will be raped. 4 out of 5 girls. I even saw a show a couple of years ago where there were women in the audience who stood up, and they were lecturers, women of I think they were 35, 40s. But there was one particular one who was obviously working in the university, and she just said, "Look, this is outrageous. There is this myth as if going around that women are being raped left, right, and centre in broad daylight, around corners by young men of the age of 18, 19, 20, that they're hanging about in the bushes jumping on girls, going from the library to their dorm or from their dorm to the library, petrified to walk out of their door. She said it's just not true. And it's a lie. And she said, she said, this is not helping the situation between men and women. Another woman said that a lot of this thing that's coming out, she's saying, is due to men and girls not having or had any practice in sex. Many of them get their knowledge literally from pornography, which boys tend to watch more than young girls do. So when girls go to university at the age of 16, 17, and young boys have gone to university, and now they're at university where they are there all the time, they're in their dorms, and they've never been in this situation before because they've come from homes where the parents, if they've got are well educated, have made sure that they know where their children are at all times. They tend to be at home, they stay out of friends, they get driven there, dropped off, etc., etc. Now, and that's why so many young people are so desperate to go to, partly to go to university, because they're looking for that nightlife that is universities are famous for. The parents spend thousands of pounds, certainly in the UK, to pay for the university tuition fees. For them to then have the audacity that the university belongs to them. This is our university, when you haven't put a damn fucking penny towards your tuition fees. Your parents have. Your parents are the ones that are paying for your tuition fees. The good majority of them. Or you may have got some scholarship. Many of these women are now going to these stupid ass gender studies that are being paid for by me and you, by your hard-earned cash. These universities are subsidized by me and you, taxpayers' money, and yet we are allowing gender studies, which is complete and total fucking nonsense. And what they're trying to do is force all university students, male and female, or female and male, to do gender studies. My personal view is I would like the universities to one day look at splitting the universities and making them male and female. But it's not going to happen. The cost of building a male university for men only, okay, costs millions of pounds. This is not going to let it happen. But what perhaps they may need to should do is the dorms should at least be split. It's something that they can do. They can make the dorms and actively look at having female dorms only managed by women and male dorms only managed by men. I would like to see that. I really would. I'm struggling to know, are there any male universities? Do they still exist? Because Westminster Boys' School near Westminster was forced to go co-ed, or forced to accept girls. So in other words, it became a mixed gender school. It was forced by the feminists. They forced it because it's I don't know how many a few hundred years old, 500 years old. Very high performing high performing school, period. And many young men went to that to that boys' school, which costs a lot of money. And now they forced that university, because they know that the grades are superb, to have to accept girls. But what about these schools that are female only? In the United Kingdom, I went and decided to do a search online, and the results were quite astonishing. The amount of independent boys' schools in the UK, that includes Eton, Harrow, Rugby, oh God, and a few other of the top name boys' schools that I can't remember, to be honest with you. But very famous boys' schools. It just floated out of my head. But the number of independent boys' schools in the United Kingdom is 36. That's the total amount. So these are schools where you've got to pay, a fee. Fairly exclusive schools. Eton, hugely one of the most famous around the world of being very exclusive. I mean, Cameron, the buffoon, went to Eton. Did Boris Johnson go to Eton? He must have. I'm sure he did. Or he may have gone to Harrow. Harrow is a very famous boys' school where they still wear the sort of straw hat. I've seen them wearing them, and the jacket. Very distinctive, very smart. And so, these schools are one of the high echelons of schools. Then you've got the girls' schools. Is St Trinian's, or was that a made-up school in the film back in the 50s? I'm not sure. But anyway, the total number of independent girls' schools is 47. So that means there are 11 more girls' schools in the United Kingdom. So when they say that girls are oppressed in this country, schoolgirls are not performing in schools because they're oppressed. Yet you see the independent schools, 36 boys, 47 girls. I just don't understand where there is any oppression. Why isn't there an equilibrium, i.e. 47 boys, 47 girls? Because it doesn't fucking matter. They're males. Males are not important. The eggs are. Female, white eggs. I'm talking about white females. Eggs are the most important in this world. Certainly in the West. They're the most important. Males are no longer. Males are disposable. Males are disposable. And so that's why you can see this, where women wear this kind of nonsense, walking around the street with their butts hanging out, and people are not meant to make any comments about it. Women must wear whatever they want, even if it's not decent. Women must be allowed to wear. This is now the norm. This is normal. This is normal. And you see the camel foot. You will see the camel foot, because she's not. And as you can see, I don't think she's wearing anything underneath that other than just these. Well, maybe she was wearing some black knickers. I don't know. It's extraordinary. Really is. And yet, This is the men are objectifying women when they come at, when women get up in the morning. I and you are somehow objectifying women for them to wear this nonsense. Look at her jumper; it's baggish for her frame, yet she decides to wear a very tight fitting this palaver. This is indicative of the society that we live in today, where we do live in a matrix. You smack a woman in the mouth in the middle of the street in an argument because she slapped you or hit you first or kicked you in the nuts. It doesn't matter. The moment you touch that woman, you're going to have manginas jumping on you left, right, and centre. Even though they've seen you being hit by the woman, you just don't hit girls. I heard of a story where a gentleman, it was on one of the YouTube, Strachan, I think the woman was telling the, oh, she wasn't telling the story, as a male who there was a meeting, and there was this stupid 18-year-old university lesbian who had come to the meeting just to disrupt it, not just to disrupt it, to get a name, to get on film. And she came on there and she was complaining about something, that as if this meeting was a danger to women. And Strachan was saying, don't you care about, we're here to discuss about male issues, you know. And her view is, well, male issues are talked about every single day. Well, so what? So men are not supposed to have meetings, because if men have meetings, it means that they're plotting something for the downfall of women. It's like the universities can have black universities, Chinese, even Chinese universities. Maybe not. Maybe I don't think they're allowed to either, because I think they're seen as colluding with the white man. But other groups, Muslims can have Muslim Union meetings. But if a white person, especially a white male, puts in a request to have their own meeting on a university campus, it's not going to happen. It's seen as white. They are white supremacists. They're going to be talking about purely white issues, what they can do to bring down everybody within that university who's not white. Yet these people pay the same amount of fees to go to this university, and their experiences at university are being disrupted, are being not acknowledged, because it doesn't matter. These are people who are obviously right-leaning people. Okay, as I am a conservative, a black conservative. I no longer see myself on the left, and I no longer see myself as a libertarian. I see myself as a conservative, obviously, to the right, because there are many good values in conservatism compared to Labour and their socialist ideals. Socialism doesn't work, and it's good to have some form of socialism within your government policy, of course. We need to look after the poor. We need to look after the needy. We need to look, clearly we've got to look after the old. We need to look after children. Oh, and somehow women get looked after in that as well, but men are not. The fact that prostate cancer has now taken over breast cancer as the biggest killer in the United Kingdom. Prostate cancer gets half the funding that breast cancer does. Breast cancer gets double the funding to fight female breast cancer. But male prostate cancer gets half the funding, yet more men are dying from prostate cancer. And there are those men who don't come forward because of prostate cancer and its sensitivity. Where it's the issue of it is very embarrassing. So many men suffer in silence and don't want to come forward to deal with the issue. So my subject was about female object, that the male sexually objectifies women. Yet the high heel shoe was invented by women in the French court. I believe they got the idea probably from the Japanese or the Chinese women, because the Chinese women used to bound their feet and then use platform to walk around. And they used to band them really tight because of the Japanese men, or some men liked tiny feet or some nonsense like that. So I believe that's where they got their idea for platform shoes, and then they implemented it in the French court. The corset was invented by women, not men, to tuck in their waists and to make them more shapely. The bra was invented by a woman in America after one of the women said, "Look, I've had enough of this bra, this corset," and decided to cut away the bra bit of the corset and use that, and she was much more comfortable. And then, I suppose marketed it. But these are issues that are for women. It's got nothing to do with men. Why do women wear bras? They don't have to. Just let them hang out, let them swing. What's the, you're letting your butt swing left, right, hang out everywhere, left, right, and centre. So you might as well let your tits hang out. Because women wear these things because they know it makes them look good. They know that people will pay attention to them. Women are the biggest exhibitionists on the face of this planet. The Arabs know that. That's why they get women to cover from the neck down, and a few of them from the top of their heads all the way down. They saw and understood the behaviour of women, and that's why they've got such a stranglehold on their behaviour and how they behave, because they know what women are like in Saudi Arabia and in other parts of the Middle East. The problem with men is that in the West, they have this notion of love. Women don't love men. Women love their money. That's why in this day and age, with marriage, women want men to commit to them. So what they've been doing in the past, shaming men who refuse to commit. Now, men will not commit. Point blank. A girl will say, "Oh, are you going to marry me?" And even when a guy is in a relationship, usually they find out after they've been in the first one, and they got married, and they got badly stung. Now young men see their parents when they split, and they see the MGTOW movement, and they watch the videos, and they see suddenly their eyes are opened to what's going on around them, and they don't want to get into that situation. They will have their relationship and carefully vet these women. The problem is for men is that for women, they can easily get a man without hardly any struggle. They hide their flaws consistently from their hair, their face, their body. Whereas young men who are desperate for a girlfriend and desperate to have sex, especially when they're in a young 18, 19 or beyond, and want a girlfriend, many women know this from when they're at school to when they leave school. They know they have a massive market value. A girl who is a 4 can easily get a guy who is a 5 or a 6 without any problems at all. From the point of view of the face, they can alter that with makeup. A woman called Alistair McCain modelled for Page 3 in the UK. For 7 years, she's been married to her husband, and he's never, ever saw her face without makeup. And she was on Celebrity Big Brother in the UK, and that was the very first time she took it off. And I saw this woman who I thought maybe she put some grey, I don't know, foundation or something. But she took her makeup off, and she put this. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she put something that looked grey, probably this algae. You know, they put this nonsense, stupid algae thing to help with the pores and all that kind of thing. And she put this. Her face looked grey, just looked grey, and she did not look like the same woman who would have makeup. She looked like a completely different person. I was astonished, absolutely astonished. She looked like a complete plain Jane. Complete. We men need to be more selective in the women that we go out with or have any form of relationship. If you are not careful, you will be one of the statistics of over 80% of suicides. Bodine committed suicide because it seems of the relationship that he was in. Be very careful, gentlemen. The feminist movement is at war with men. Donald Trump has already made the statement that it's a bad time to be a man or a boy in this world. Certainly in the West, that is. Or in parts of the West. But certainly in, as a guy today, it is a dangerous time. I'll give you another anecdote. In America, there was a video of I think he's a black American football player. And they were in, I think, either a shopping mall area going towards the hotel. And his girlfriend, it was a black guy, and the girl is a white girl. And the girl was going absolutely berserk. She was going mental. And this smallish girl, I mean, this guy must have been 6'1" or something. And this girl, 5'2", 5'3", was going mad. And you see her slap him in the face, then hit him in the chest, and then I think another slap in the face at some point. And he's remonstrating with her. And you see it from the video that he's just trying to walk away from her. And she's going mental and she's trying to grab him. There's all sorts of things going on. And it goes on. It just continuing. The guy stops and has a go at her, and she hits him again, and there's whatever. When they get in the lift, he is so angry that he doesn't realise that there's a camera in the lift. The girl goes at him again, hits him. I don't know whether she hits him in the face or in the chest, but she hits him. As the door shut, he's had enough. And then whack! He smacks her in the face and knocks, and she hits and falls. She hit the rail on the inside of the lift, and she hits the floor. She's sparked out. He's knocked her out. He's now, you can see from the camera angle, he's fretting bad, and he ends up opening before the lift goes up, and then drags her out of the lift. She's sparko. She's out. And you see, the thing is, he didn't do that while they were walking on the corridor with people looking and watching him. He did it. He hit her in the lift, so nobody else would see it. But he didn't realise that the camera was there. And so when the footage was released, it looked unfortunately bad for this young man. But the girl ended up, I think, marrying him still. She didn't walk away. She's not going to walk away. All that money? Nah. If he'd have been prosecuted and sent to jail or prison, all that money would have gone through the toilet. I mean, he was punished by the team. I don't know what's happened with the police. I don't think they prosecuted. She didn't want to press charges and stuff like that, because she acknowledged that she had pushed him too far. But she got the sympathy of the nation. That's the problem. Even though she was the instigator and the problem, I don't know what they were arguing about. I don't know what the issue was, but the problem is women consistently put their hands on people, on men. And there has never been a proper study done on the reason why there is domestic violence occurs. I think if you were really to look at the reason why domestic violence occurs, it would be because it's been a good proportion, I would say, I don't know, 20 to 30% are because of women's behaviour to the men. Maybe even, you could even say a good proportion, maybe 80% are because of the behaviour of the woman. She started it. She started it off by nagging him, eventually then becoming physical, and then he turns on her eventually because he's had enough and sees it, controls her after a period of time, and then he uses that as a way of making sure that she stays in line and doesn't get out of hand, and terrorizes, because he sees that this is the only way that he can control her and her behavior, okay, because she's the one that started it. But the problem is nobody sees that. They just see a man fighting and beating a woman, which you should never do. Yet in Australia, 40% of women cause domestic violence. 40%. And that's not all of it. That's those guys who are willing to come forward and report it. 40%. So we men must teach our young boys to be careful of this. This is clearly not the kind of woman that you want to have in a relationship, a long-term relationship. Because if she can dress like this, what else can she be doing in her, personal life and her behaviour? Because this is a woman that, in this day and age, knows that every man and his dog and lesbians will be looking at this. She knows that. That's why she wore this, to garner attention from people in the street or wherever she lives. Simple as that. So, as I said, I find it interesting that this female objectifies, men supposedly objectify women. Women have been doing that for years. Helena Troy used her sexuality to cause a war. Women have been using their sexuality consistently for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Okay? And it's because men have this inane love for the female form, especially in the West. Women take advantage of that. Women don't love men. They love their money. They love what they can provide. When they find someone, they will manage them as best they can. because they're very good performers. I mean, you only have to look at Harry when Harry met Sally, when she's sitting at the table and she has a fake orgasm, because Harry assumes, and this is the problem, he assumes that when he has sex with her, he's the woman is having an orgasm all the time. But she demonstrated, again, that is another point. She demonstrated that a woman can fake an orgasm at any time she wants in regards to with a man. And I think women get off on that as well. They feel that they have a certain amount of control. I was a young lad when I read a magazine, Reader's Digest, one of the greatest pocket magazines in the world. I think I was 14 and a half. And I was reading through it, and there was the agony page. I don't know why I was looking through that, but I was looking at the agony art page, and a young man had written to the agony art saying he was in a relationship with a young girl. They'd moved into a house or a flat, and he thought that their sex life was pretty good. She seemed to respond reasonably well to it, and she seemed to be enjoying it, and didn't make any complaints about any issue to do with their sex life. But one day he was looking for something in the wardrobe, and he saw a shoebox in the wardrobe, which I believe was placed there on purpose, accidentally on purpose by her for him to find. And in the shoebox was her collection of a few things of hers, but there was a diary. And he looked at that diary, and it was locked, and he was really in two minds of whether to open it, because it wasn't really the done thing. But anyway, he did it. He picked the lock. To his amazement and his astonishment and his, disappointment, shock, disappointment, she wrote in in the diary that we had sex today, wasn't that great, didn't really enjoy it, wasn't really into it, his performance wasn't very good, blah blah. Just saying how she didn't, and it was like every time they had sexual, she just played along with it because she loved him, but for whatever reason she didn't love the sex. But she did it out of love for him, but was looking at somehow maybe coming out of the relationship at some point. So he was really shocked by it. And so he wrote to say, look, what's going on? And what could he do about this? And he got berated by the person in question. What are you doing looking at a woman's private writing? This is a private. But she was writing about him and her relationship. Okay, it was her private, she can do that. But she then said, look, you need to sit down with her and just gently ask her, what does she think of their relationship? And try and fathom out her answer. And if she says everything is fine, he could say, well, I don't know, I get a feeling you're not really enjoying it, or this and that. Is there anything that I can do better to make your experience more enjoyable? What is it that you don't like me to do? What is it would you like me to do? Am I being too selfish for myself, etc., etc., etc.? It was an eye-opener for me as a young lad who I hadn't been in a relationship anyway. But when I've been in a relationship, I suppose it was a good thing to hear about it. No, not suppose, it was a good thing, because when I've been in a relationship, I've always asked my girlfriend how I've not jumped on their bones and just started. I've asked them, what do you like sexually? What don't you like? When we're talking about things, what doesn't she like, and so on and so on. Would she like to experiment with this or that? Does she like porn or not? That kind of thing. Talk to your girlfriend. See what she doesn't and does like, rather than just thinking, "Oh, I need sex with you. I need to jump on your bones," and etc. etc. Because that's why you've got a lot of women in the past that, "Oh, sorry, I've got a headache. Can we do it sometime next year?" Women, it's a known fact, can take 25 minutes to half an hour to be, if it's done right, in the mood, if they're having a sexual relation with somebody else. Men are literally ready to go, but women take much, much longer. Much, much longer. Which is extraordinary. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Be careful of this, gentlemen. Be very careful of it. And be careful of the kind of person that's in these rather thin yoga pants. Thanks for listening. And please pass it on. This is good advice for young men. We need to stand together. We need to understand that all men in the world are in a situation where, if we're not careful and we allow women to become the bosses of this planet, they will try to make us men extinct. That is what the purpose of the feminist movement is to try and eliminate the male species. Thanks for listening.